I did this whole video. Hi, you guys. And it didn't work. It said that my computer is a protected computer or something. It's like blocked. So this is eLibrary Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. And there's a lot you can see here. So I just wanted to show you. So I think at the top, you can do CEII. Not sure if that'll work. Let's see if it does. So it's an FERC report study, dam safety. Remember, dam is Deutsche Asset Management System, even though people think it's a dam. I don't think it is. Let's go down here. Oh. A lot of these are grayed out. I'm not sure why. Um, see how you can't, I mean, you should be able to get it, but you can't. So this is just 2000. So you want one, um, I guess they removed some of it. File date. You should be able to just click in here, but it's not letting me. Oh my gosh. Okay. See how it's not, like, it's not reset. And then it's got criteria up here that I never placed there. And then you're supposed to be able to change this date, and it's just not letting me. I mean, document date. Take that out. Document date. I don't know what to say. It's just not working, you guys. This is a really good website if any of you guys want to go on. Look, what you're looking for is the CEII. And this one shows just some of what goes on. Whoa. North Umpqua. Oompa dee doo, right? Mark Sturtevant of Renewable Resources. Renewable Resources R&R laser, where they're taking this out from people without consent. And then this one is Boyce Hydropower. These are usually by date, but they're not really showing the dates that I want for some reason. I wanted to show you this too. If you're in some kind of school program and they hurt you, sorry, this is like, something's going on with my computer, you guys.
This law should be in operation by the end of next year. And what we want to make sure we've done is reached out. The process of passing regulations is a consuming one because you have to make sure you incorporate views from all parties and all corners. And so it is a process that we'll undertake with a lot of serious effort. We think we'll get it done by the time we're supposed to under the statute.
How similar is the California law to the European privacy law?
There's some similarities. GDPR in Europe predates California's Consumer Privacy Act. In some areas, it's more expansive than our California law, and in some areas, I think California's law is a bit more innovative. But we sort of track each other in many respects. In each case, what we try to do is provide consumers on the internet some sense of control, choice, offer them transparency, and at the same time offer the industry innovation. Let them continue to develop, and so it should be a win-win for everyone.
Well, one of the with California's law specifically, obviously tech companies have taken some issue with that law, and they're seeking changes to that law in the next legislature. One of the issues is surrounded how personal information is even defined and sort of what's captured in this. I'm curious, in your understanding of the law, do you see any legal complications with that definition? And secondly, is there anything you're seeking more clarity on, your office, from the California legislature?
We will continue to define further what we mean by privacy. It's a term that had a sense or meaning maybe a century ago or decades ago that now has morphed into something very different. Talk to a millennial or anyone younger about what their sense of privacy is compared to someone who's a baby boomer, and you'll get a different definition. But what we do know is that you want to be able to, as I said before, control what you think is yours personally, to have a choice in how it's used, and to make sure that when it is used, you have a sense of how it's being used, the transparency that's required. And I think in California and throughout the country, as well as in Europe, GDPR, you're going to continue to see a more refinement, a better refinement of the definition of privacy. So maybe it's not as clear as some people would like, but I think everyone, it's like they say about other things. If you can feel it, you can sense it, you know what it is. If it quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
Well, speaking of the rest of the country, Congress right now has a lot of pressure to either match California or come up with some sort of national law of its own regarding privacy. And I know you've said in the past you don't necessarily see that passing in the next 2 years, but I'm curious if that impacts how you think about the implementation and enforcement of your own laws there in California.
Well, as I think most people have seen, California doesn't sit back and spectate. We take action. We're a very forward-leaning state. We were the first state to enact a security law that protected people's privacy and right to know. So if there's a breach of your personal data by a company, that company was required to give notification both to the state, the Attorney General's office, but also to the individual. That law passed in California back in 2003, first in the nation to do it. There are now 47 states that have a data breach security law in place. The federal government still doesn't have one in place. So while it's good to have uniformity in a sense of how privacy operates throughout the country, California is not going to wait for Congress and the federal government to act to protect our consumers' privacy. And what we've seen is other states have followed. We hope that what the federal government decides to do, once it dives into this and gets something done, is to look at what's worked, both in California and other places, whether it's Europe or in other states, to make sure that we're taking the best practices of those who've actually gone before the federal government.
Attorney General Becerra, several of the larger tech companies in Silicon Valley opposed this privacy law, didn't they? And in fact worked against it.
You always have some resistance because it's, well, take your children, for example. They love eating their candy whenever they got candy. They don't want to have to wait till after dinner to have the dessert or candy. There are rules. And for the longest time, we treated the internet economy and those industry players in that economy like a nascent industry, new players that we wanted to make sure we nurtured them so they'd have success. Well, they've had success. They're no longer infants. In fact, I'd say they're no longer adolescents in many cases. And now you impose rules. And there are more rules the older you get. And it should be no different for an industry that now has really flourished. There's still new nascent players in the industry, but they're...
Now you guys are asking questions like, who gets the ovaries? They created these laws with Islam so that Islam gets, like, they do this transfer, and I don't know how to explain it to you, but Islam is the only one that can take it while somebody is alive, right? They don't believe in taking it when someone's dead. So basically they kill you on paper, stop your heart, and then take it and harvest you while you're alive, and then claim it's for Islam. So what they'll do is they'll do like a transfer, claiming that it would be bad to not accept this gift from Islam, but it's really from the American people, where our own government, through these programs I told you, steal it, which is conversion, to give it to someone. Now, who wants it? People who want babies, want nice genetics. Maybe they can't have their own children. So they look on Facebook. Facebook has some very weird back-end stuff that I don't think you guys know about that have to do with transplantation law and just weird things. And it's an open source, so they can look at you and basically vote and bid on getting your genetic materials. But it's complex, because on paper it would look like we gave it to Islam, but we didn't give it to Islam. We got it. It's for us. So Israel also has a similar kind of law about, helping helping families that can't have babies on their own. But again, it'll go through, Olam Bonai, or these organizations where it's very hard to figure out, who took your genetic materials, who took your ovaries, and where they got sold to. But they're definitely sold. And they're used for more than one thing. They're used for big pharma. They're used for research to make certain things. They're used for more than one thing. But mostly, I think they're used for making babies. So, we learned about this in Gone with the Wind. I don't know I don't know nothing about babies, where babies are made, or whatever she said. It's like, yeah, because they're stealing genetic materials, you guys. That's conversion by law.